question.
Naomi's going to show you the name of the street. Flowers are here. I don't know where they are.
Me dijeron que lo leyera en español también, no sé si... lo mío. Ok.
Yo lo tengo en inglés, pero un poquito de español.
Ok, un poco de español. Ok.
¿Quieres que nos vamos a hacer? May I have your attention? Hello? Testing. We're good? Can you all hear me? Raise your hand if you can hear me. Okay, just want to make sure, okay? Okay, thank you. Okay, Hispanic Heritage Month, or Mes de la Herencia Hispana, has officially ended, but being Hispanic is a year-round celebration. Buenas tardes y bienvenidos. Sean todos ustedes. Good afternoon and welcome everyone to this compelling conversation, where we recognize that the spirit of diversity, inclusivity is a continuous celebration at Bunker Hill Community College. I am Dr. Miguel Cepeda Torres, your Associate Dean at Chelsea campus, and it is indeed an honor to stand before such a diverse and esteemed audience. Today, we extend a warm welcome not only to the students, staff, faculty, and administrators of BHCC, but also to the bright minds joining us from Billerica High School. Yeah, Billerica High School. Chelsea High School. And Melanie Martina, president of Latinos Unidos. Your presence adds a layer of richness to our community, and we are thrilled to have you with us on this special occasion. In addition to our educational partners, I'd like to recognize esteemed guests here today, members of the community, trustees, and friends of the college. Your support significantly contributes to BHCC's success, and we're grateful for the invaluable relationship we have built over the years. To our students, both from BHCC and our partnering high schools, you are the heart and soul of this educational community. Your aspirations and unique perspectives contribute to the vibrant tapestry of BHCC's identity. We welcome you not only as learners, but as active participants in our collective journey of cultural exchange and growth. To our dedicated staff, faculty, and administrators, your unwavering commitment to inclusivity is the guiding light of our college, creating an environment where everyone feels heard, respected, and valued. Hispanic culture, or Hispanidad, is not new to this country. Its influence has existed in this country before there was any English settlement. The first permanent European settlement in what is now the continental United States was San Agustin, founded in 1565 by the Spanish in present-day Florida, which in fact means flowery land in Spanish. Over the centuries, Spanish and later Mexican territories expanded into what is now California, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and parts of Colorado, Nevada, and Utah. Today, as we celebrate, let us also reflect on what it means to be Hispanic. There is not a one-fits-all definition. To some, it means being born and raised in a Hispanic country, or having Hispanic parents, or speaking Spanish. To others, it is having that heritage in your family, or having lived in a Hispanic country, or even having married someone who is Hispanic. We are as diverse as this room, and we choose to be Hispanic or Latin, or whatever definition you prefer. We applaud you. Whether you see yourself as first as Dominicano, Puertorriqueño, Colombiano, Mexicano, Salvadoreño, Centroamericano, Sudamericano, it doesn't matter. We embrace you. Well, Hispanic Heritage Month officially ended. The celebration of cultures is a year-round commitment at BHCC. Today's event showcases our unity, bringing together individuals from diverse backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives. Once again, thank you all for being here. Muchísimas gracias. Your presence is a statement to the collaborative spirit that defines BHCC. Bienvenidos sean todos ustedes. Welcome, everyone. I'll leave you with Yanitza Medina, one of our great academic coordinators. Please give her a round of applause.
Buenas tardes. Hola, ¿cómo están? Qué bueno. Bienvenidos Chelsea High School y Billerica High School. Welcome Chelsea High School and Billerica High School. It feels like I am going to introduce a sister because I can relate so much to Adrienne. So here it goes. Adrienne Bailon-Houghton is a Daytime Emmy Award-winning television host, acclaimed pop vocalist, lifestyle personality, producer, and founder of the faith-based jewelry brand XIXI and the clothing brand Laboot. Houghton co-hosted The Real, a one-hour daily talk show on Fox television stations from 2013 to 2022. It made Houghton the first Latina daytime talk show host on English language television. Throughout its 8 seasons, Houghton offered the show fresh points of view, youthful energy, and passion. Along with her bold, diverse, and outspoken co-host, Houghton won a 2018 Daytime Emmy Award as an Outstanding Entertainment Talk Show host and a 2018 NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Talk Series. As a Latina woman with multiple platforms, Houghton has always focused on giving back and has strived to empower and inspire through her work. Ahora en español. Adrienne Bailon-Houghton es una presentadora de televisión galardonada con un premio Daytime Emmy. Aclamada vocalista pop, influyente personalidad de estilo de vida, productora y creadora de la línea de joyería inspirada en la fe XIXI y la línea de ropa y ahora joyería también Laboot. Houghton fue la presentadora del programa The Real, un programa de tertulia diaria en Fox Television del 2013 al 2022, lo cual convirtió a Houghton en la primera latina en conducir en inglés un programa de tertulia televisiva. A lo largo de sus 8 temporadas, Houghton ofreció a su fiel audiencia sus puntos de vista innovadores, su juvenil energía y su pasión. Junto con sus valientes, diversos y honestos copresentadores, Houghton ganó en 2018 un Daytime Emmy Award como mejor presentadora de talk show y también en el 2018 un double NAACP Image Award como mejor talk series. Como latina con múltiples plataformas, Houghton siempre ha concentrado sus esfuerzos en corresponder a la comunidad y empoderar e inspirar a través de su trabajo. Muchas gracias. Y ahora le damos la bienvenida a Adrienne Bailon-Houghton. Y now we'll welcome Adrienne Bailon-Houghton and Naomi.
I guess so. Thank you, guys. Hello, hello.
Do I go here or here?
You can pick anyone.
Awesome.
Thank you, Yanni.
Well, hello. What an introduction in English and in Spanish. Thank you. I appreciate that. How are you guys feeling? Good afternoon. It's a Friday. Happy Friday, everybody, right? We looking forward to the weekend? Well, I hope I get it off to a great start.
Thank you
Thank
for being
you.
here, Adrienne. I'm so sorry, Miguel. I know you had one more piece. You can go ahead.
I was just going to introduce you.
Oh, that's okay.
She's like, I would like my introduction.
No, it's okay. Welcome. Welcome to
you.
Bunker Hill.
I'm excited to be here.
Welcome to Boston.
Yes.
How was the commute?
It was actually a pretty easy drive. I didn't realize we were so close. It was only 3 hours away. I live in Westchester, New York. So I am a fan of a good road trip, and it was a beautiful scenic road trip, quick 3 hours. They were like, you have the option. It's a 30-minute flight or a 3-hour drive. I'm like, well, with the going and coming through TSA, it'll be 3 hours anyway.
That's
so I'm gonna
true.
just stay put in the car with a good playlist. You feel me?
Well, we're glad you made it.
For having me.
So, we have a lot of our students here. We have some high schools here. We're really all looking forward to learning more about you.
Thank you.
So tell us more about you. I mean, I'm sure everyone knows, but just in case, like if someone said, well, who's Adrienne? What would you say?
Adrienne is a Puerto Rican Ecuadorian girl from New York who was raised in the Lower East Side. The way I'm talking about myself in third person is weird, so let's switch that. I was raised in the Lower East Side in New York City in the projects that are right off of the FDR Drive. Came from super humble beginnings. I have such hardworking parents, so I'm so grateful that they were able to instill that in me, just a really good work ethic and the idea that if I work towards anything, the possibilities are endless. And I feel like just having that knowledge and that instilled in me from such a young age has allowed for my life to be pretty awesome so far.
I mean, to say the least.
Thank you.
Did you always know you were going to be a star, or did you just,
I didn't know that I was gonna be a star because I think when you grow up without any knowledge of like what a celebrity is or how do people become celebrities, like I never knew anyone famous growing up. I didn't know how they became famous. I didn't know, there are a lot of people that I guess we now see with social media, a lot of people who are born into the industry, so to speak, and I'm not mad at that at all. My son will be that as well. So I'm not hating, but I was not the daughter of some famous person, some celebrity, some rich person. I had no idea how people get into the box that is called a television. Or back then, it's now a flat screen, but you know what I'm saying. So for me, I had a passion for the arts, but I didn't know what that meant when it came to like being a celebrity. I was hopeful. I remember being like, oh my gosh, maybe one day I'll win like an award and I'll stand up there. And I remember back in the day, they came out with sparkle crayons. Does anybody remember that? No. And I would like design what I imagined my dress would be for an award show when I was like 10 or 11 years old. And so I think I had some idea of what that career path could take me, but I had no idea how to even begin that journey.
So how did you begin?
That journey began, crazy enough, I actually shared with the group earlier about a quote that I had heard from Oprah, which was that opportunity, there's no such thing as luck. Luck is opportunity meeting preparation, or preparation meeting an opportunity. And for me, I knew from a very young age that I loved music. My dad was a salsa singer growing up, and my mom just liked to dance. So we had music on in the house at all times. I knew that I loved acting. Funny enough, I was actually obsessed with soap operas. Days of Our Lives was my go-to. There was a short-lived Sunset Beach moment that I had, and I used to record on VHS. I am aging myself. I used to record like soap operas on VHS so that when I would come home from school, I would watch it. And funny enough, my dad, who does not speak English, who is Spanish speaking, actually always watched the television with subtitles on it. And so I always had subtitles on the screen. And one day I remember figuring out, because the reality is I had never even seen a script before. Like, have any of you guys ever held a script in your hands or seen what a script looks like for film or TV? Well, wow, you guys are way ahead of me. I had never in my life, I had no idea how movies are made, or like, just literally it was like Hollywood for dummies. I had no idea about like how people audition, like how do you even get that opportunity to audition? So I had never even seen a script. And so I knew I wanted to practice my acting because I thought I was gonna be a soap opera star. And one day I remember using the television and just seeing that my dad's subtitles were on the screen and realizing that if I put it in English and put the TV on mute, I could actually read the script on the screen. And so I actually had friends of mine come over and I would make them read soap operas with me off the TV. And a girl came back to school, she was like, trust me, if Adrienne invites you over to her house, don't go. You will spend the entire afternoon reading a screen. I literally would be like, when it says Megan, that's you, and when it says Nicole, that's me, go. And I'd be like, how could you do this to me, my husband? Like, literally reading the script off the screen. But that was my desire to just be a part of this world, be a part of the entertainment industry, and that was my first foot in the door. And I always tell that story because it is very true that there was a girl I invited to my house, and she went back to school and was like making fun of the fact that I like would read the television screen. And obviously almost 10 years into a daytime talk show, one of the greatest compliments I've ever gotten was that I'm a natural on the teleprompter.
Very.
And I sat there and I was like, but I never had any training on a teleprompter. I've never gone to school for that, which they do. There actually is schooling for that. If you're wanting to be on camera, they will have you go into training for teleprompter reading and give you pointers and all that kind of stuff. You read a bit, you look away, you read a bit, you look. There's different pointers you can take from that. But I had never been there. And I remember sitting there and almost getting emotional because I was like, wow, the thing that I was made fun of in high school where people were like, she's gonna make you read the TV, is one of my greatest skill sets, and it is reading a teleprompter. So I always tell people, think about the small things that you think don't have any meaning in your life right now, even things that maybe you view as your weaknesses or things that people can make fun of, and you're really able to turn those into your strengths. So when you say, how did I get here? The honest truth is every little step of the way, there was something preparing me for the opportunities that I've been given. And I think in all of your lives, you can really maybe make a list when you go home today of what it is that your goal, your dream is, and right underneath little things that you even have a glimpse of what they possibly are preparing you for. If you want to go into public speaking, maybe get involved in something that you have here in different ways. I mean, if you even want to get up and be like, maybe I'd like to speak at church one day, or if you're given the opportunity to speak in public, take it. Take the chance and say, this is maybe my moment to prepare for something so much bigger. Don't look at any opportunity as if it's too small or put your ego aside and be like, you know what? I'm gonna go for it because maybe it's not a big deal today, but it might be the thing that prepares me for the big deal that's coming for me in the future.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so like little baby steps, baby, baby steps.
You said you didn't have training, but you were leading the training. You didn't need the training.
I had literally but had no idea. And I think that so many people that you see that you're like, oh my God, they're successful or they've done these incredible things. They even can look back and say, oh, it was that. Or it was that one time that I was super scared to join my church choir because I was the youngest person in it. I joined my mass choir when I was 12. I was still a part of the children's choir at the time, but still went to the auditions for the mass choir, not knowing if I'd even make it. But then, crazy enough, we had politicians in New York City after 9/11 come visit my church, which was in the Lower East Side, and them seeing this little girl be a part of this mass choir. Y'all, if I'm short now, just imagine how tall I was back then. And I remember that taking their attention. So it's little small things of like, should I join the debate team? Should I not join the debate team? Should I, participate in this live that they're doing on Instagram to discuss, what Latinidad means to you, or speaking up for your community? If you want that platform, I promise you, it's the baby steps that you think right now are literally the most pointless thing. That's the moments that you're gonna see are gonna lead you to the big spotlight that you're maybe wanting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we got the recipe, huh?
Hey, participate, people. Practice makes perfect. Yeah, and it's crazy because we now have so many platforms. You guys are so blessed. Literally, we're talking, social media has so many negative, obviously, things about it. There are so many, I could literally go on a list about, having to delete and block people. But there's also a really positive side to it. There is a platform that you can create, a community that you can cultivate. I used to say, I don't know what to post. And one of my girlfriends told me, well, isn't the whole point of this, like it's a social community, it's to create the community that you want. Why don't you just post the things that you like and the things that you're interested in instead of trying to serve what other people want? Like you're like, oh, what do we think will get a lot of likes? I think that's literally the worst way to, participate in social media. I think the key is to be authentically who you are, post the things that you authentically like, what you're interested in, and you will draw the crowd that has similar likes. They have an appreciation for who you are. Instead of you having to change who you are and transform yourself and bend yourself to the likings of others or the likes of a double tap, do what you genuinely like and love, and trust me, you're not alone. The people that I like, and I feel like those are the people that have had the most success, are the ones that think in that way, and then they find their community, and that just grows from there.
Speaking of social media, I mean, there's like a link of how dangerous it could be for some teenagers.
For sure.
What advice would you give to someone who is posting or trying to become an influencer? Like how to not let that impact them mentally and physically?
I think the key is to view it not as a place to get likes or to become famous, which I think seems really easy on Instagram these days, but to literally do what you love and see what comes of that. You know what I mean? Like, this is a place for you to share with people what you're into, what you're interested in, your thoughts, your opinions, your art, your gifts, your talents, and leave it at that. Remind yourself that literally you do not need social media for validation. People have been way more famous for way more years before social media ever existed. So it is possible. And I think the key to doing that, again, is to be authentic. I always tell people, be hungry, not thirsty. There is a difference. And when you're posting, keep that in mind. What am I doing this for? Why am I doing this because I want valid? Am I posting this picture today because I want someone to tell me that I'm good enough or that I'm talented enough or that I'm smart enough? Or am I posting this because I have something I want to share with the world? When you shift that perspective, I truly do believe that what you get in response absolutely will be different. You're gonna get something more than, oh, you're pretty. You're gonna get, wow, this really blessed me today. Wow, what you had to say changed my mind. Or wow, that inspired me. And I promise you, that will be a million times more fulfilling than just a double tap to tell you something that absolutely means nothing.
So just
long term.
Just being yourself.
Being yourself is the key. I think one of the greatest examples of that, and it's weird because I know she's in some controversy right now, but Keke Palmer to me is one of the greatest examples of that. I think the fact that, you know, we've known who she is for such a long time with her career from Disney Channel, from Akeelah and the Bee and so many other, what was the jump rope movie? Jump In, I think it was called. So many great films, but it wasn't until she started using social media to just talk.
Right.
What are you thinking about? Share her journey with her skin. There were so many things that I saw, and when I started seeing her win, I was like, this is the proof that if you just are authentically who you are, there is going to be people that are interested in that for multiple reasons. There's going to be people that are interested because they relate. They see themselves in you. They're like, oh my gosh, she reminds me of me. Then there's going to be another group of people who are like, I want to be friends with her. She looks fun. She's interesting. I find it interesting. And then there's going to be a whole other group that are like, I don't understand this. So let me see what's going on here. Why is this a big deal? Why do people like her? And even if they don't get it, it'll be intriguing to them. So again, ultimately staying authentic to yourself is the key. It's the way I have genuinely felt that I've been able to be successful. Anytime I've ever tried to fit in, it's never worked. I promise that to you, where it was either what I was dressing like, how I was trying. And you go through those moments in life. To tell you that you're never gonna be in a situation where you feel like, I want to be like, is a lie. You're gonna have those moments. I think the question is saying, do I wanna be like this person? Am I being influenced to be a better version of myself? But ultimately, it's still you. Does that make sense? I think it's okay to be inspired by people. Trust me, there was a moment where I was like, Lord, let me be Jennifer Lopez. And that's honest, and I loved her and I looked up to her, but ultimately, there's a way to be inspired by that and still be authentically who you are. And the reality is you can only fake that but for so long. I could fake that in maybe a photo and a style in some hoop earrings and some glowy skin and some highlights, but then I have to open my mouth and actually communicate and tell me, I'm letting you know right now, 5 minutes in, if you can't tell, I don't shut up. And 5 minutes in, I'm going to be who I am. It's gonna come out. So I might as well introduce that to you from the gate and just be like, listen, this is who I am. You either love it or you don't. And I think ultimately the key is when you're thinking about social media and authenticity and just being yourself, the key is you will find your audience. You will find your people. You will find your tribe, so to speak. And I think that's really where you're gonna find success. If you keep trying to be something you're not, it's never going to work. I also believe people have a sixth sense to what's real and what's not. Have you ever seen someone on TV and you're just like, it's just this face. It's giving, I can't tell you why. I don't know what it is, but I just don't rock with it. For me, most of the time, I find that that's just inauthenticity. It's that it's not real. There's something there that isn't connecting. But I feel like if you find your community, your tribe, your people, and you are authentically you, it will always work.
Well, I'm glad you didn't become J-Lo, you know.
You know?
Yeah, we need an Adrienne.
My bank account doesn't feel the same way you do.
You know.
Pero You know, we're not done yet. I'm still
That's what
on my
I'm saying.
way.
We're just getting started. Just getting started. And I think that's great advice. You know, it is okay to be inspired, but you know, to be our authentic selves is important. I think as we're growing, we look up to folks and we're like, why can't I do this? Why can't I do this? But it's like we all have our different paths to
Your
take.
niche. Find your niche. Find what's special about what you're into, what it is that you like. Also, when you think about the market space, you're talking about there's always something missing, and there's always too much of something else. Does that make sense? I'm sure you guys are always, have you ever thought to yourself, man, I wish I had this. There's so much of this available, but there's only one of these. Be the one of these. You know what I mean? You're gonna be more successful if you're the only one in that space doing that thing. And find out what that is. Everybody is unique in their own special way. Some of us more than others. I'm like in that special way. But there's things that are super odd about me, but somehow you find a way to work them into a positive.
I once heard about how, like, in the supermarket, there's so many different types of bread.
Yeah, we each have our favorites that we go to every time, and we don't move from it.
But there's room for all of them.
100%.
So there's a market for all of them. So like even though if you
Absolutely.
think you're doing something that seems similar,
Yeah.
someone has a different taste. Or like, you know, it might be white bread, but everybody has a brand that they prefer.
Somebody gonna pull out that Ezekiel bread, Lord Jesus.
Right.
I tried it, y'all. I like it. I know it's healthy for me, but all right.
But be your brand of bread, you know, like
Listen.
like everybody be your brand.
It has been very successful at Trader Joe's, okay?
So find your Trader Joe's,
Find
right?
your Trader Joe's, find your whatever it is.
Right.
When I grew up, it was Fine Fare in Seatown, okay?
There we go. You mentioned your dad as a Spanish speaker.
Yeah.
So what was it like growing in a bilingual household?
I think growing up in a bilingual household, I knew that speaking in Spanish was going to be beneficial to me, but I think that took time getting there as well. The reality is that if you're a child of an immigrant, sadly, sometimes that does come with some shame. And I had to figure out what that was for me. I think that from a very young age, if you are a child of an immigrant, you are their translator. You are the parent of the household. You are the one receiving bills and saying, this is what this says. And they're looking at you like, well, what am I supposed to do? And you're looking at them like, baby.
Yeah. You got to be the
I'm just
translator
reading this.
and the operations manager.
You literally do. And I remember feeling that way. I remember there was a level of pressure to be of service to my dad. At the same time, I was ashamed if there was parent-teacher conference. I knew there was going to be a language barrier there. I literally would stand between the two of them and be like, papi, ella está diciendo que yo tengo una, whatever, like a field trip that's coming up, y tú me tienes que traer a, like I literally would be there in between both of them and be like, so my dad says I can't make it, and it was, while it sounds so simple and so basic, it was embarrassing to me at the time. I didn't recognize that my dad was the bravest person I knew coming to another country at my age, at 40 years old, in a country that literally he didn't have anyone that spoke his language, with no family, with no one else there, and making it happen. I can't imagine myself at 40 years old uprooting myself to, I'm trying to think of somewhere
far.
to Germany right now. This one does not speak not a word of German, okay? I was gonna say France, but that just sounded really fancy, and I did know a little bit of French, oui, oui. But I'm trying to think of a place that I don't speak not a lick, okay? And telling me, go there, Adrienne, be successful, raise children, go take them to a school on a daily basis where they are communicating with your child, and yet you have no idea what they're saying. It takes real bravery. I saw a quote one time on Instagram that said, while we make fun of people with accents, they're communicating with you. That just means they speak multiple languages. That actually means they're wildly intelligent, that they're standing in front of you being bold and brave to even attempt. How many times have you walked up to somebody that doesn't speak the language that you speak and tried to have a conversation with them and were bold with it and said, listen, I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna try. That takes real courage. I barely want to speak to people that I just think are smarter than me in the same language, okay? That's just the reality of it. So now looking back, I'm like, I shouldn't have been embarrassed at all. I should have been like, yo, my dad is a trooper. My dad is a G. He came here and he's making something happen. And I am a reflection of that bravery. And I'm so proud to be a child of an immigrant and that I was raised in a bilingual household. I can get twice as many jobs. You know, when there is an opportunity, I tell them, you should hire me for the job. I can do it in English and I can do it in Spanish. Right. You want to hire me for a commercial? Guess what? It's now a bilingual commercial. I can shoot Neutrogena in English and in Espanol. I'm like, tú también puedes tener piel linda. Like, I can sell it to you. And that has opened so many doors for me. When I first auditioned for 3LW, I remember the first song I sang was Lauryn Hill's version of His Eyes on the Sparrow from Sister Act. And then they asked me, at the time it was what was called the Latin Explosion. Ricky Martin had just performed on the Grammys, Shake Your Bomb Bomb, and it was a very big deal. They were like, Latinos are the hottest thing around. You then had Shakira, Jennifer Lopez, and there was this influx of being Latino was a super cool thing in the 2000s, like in the millennium. And I remember I actually just lost my whole train of thought. I'm a mom of a 1-year-old, you guys, and it happens. I just remember being like, wow, I'm gonna get opportunities because I'm Latina, not because I'm not Latina. There are doors opening for me. And in that audition, they literally were like, do you happen to sing in Spanish? And I broke out and sung Marc Anthony's Preciosa, and I absolutely know that that is why I was chosen for that group. By the way, it was a black woman who was the manager. She didn't know what the heck I was saying, but she was like, I felt it. Whatever it is that you were just singing, I felt what you were singing. And that had impact. And literally, I was chosen to be in 3LW because of that. And I carry that with me in everything that I do, that I remind myself, it may not be the popular thing, it may not be the mainstream thing, but it is authentic to me and I'm passionate about it. And baby, when I sang Preciosa, I feel that in my heart. and it has impact and it makes a difference. And that definitely was one of the things that I constantly remind myself when I even feel like I'm not being true to who I really am.
Right. So that's the interesting thing. So you don't have the direct experience of being an immigrant, but there's something to be said about being first generation American, right?
Yeah.
I was a bookkeeper by the time I was 9. Yeah, I should add it to my resume because I had to balance my mom's books, right? Yeah. And so you don't know, you're writing checks, you don't know what's happening. Somehow you're keeping the light bills on and everything.
You have to grow up, I think, a lot quicker.
Right.
And I think that sometimes that can feel like a lot of pressure. I think that there's also the pressure of you are first generation here, so what are you gonna do with this amazing gift that your family has fought for to bring you here? And what opportunities are you gonna take? And what is what American dream are you gonna be? And while I think that's an absolutely beautiful thing, that dream can be whatever you create it to be. I think that sometimes we can take that pressure and it becomes a negative and it becomes something that feels scary, that makes you fearful. It almost makes you afraid to take the chances. It makes you afraid to be a disappointment, to be like, man, they went through all of this for what?
Right.
Or you feel discouraged or you feel like you haven't done it. First of all, there's so much time. And again, who decides what that dream looks like? You decide what that is. You decide what is your version of the American dream.
So you mentioned earlier Latinidad.
Yeah.
What is that exactly?
Latinidad for me, I just got an incredible opportunity to be a part of a docuseries on Peacock that was sponsored by Sephora. And it's a docuseries that's available right now. It's called The Foundation of Belleza. And it's pretty much the foundation of what culturally we believe beauty is all about. We are the #1 consumers of beauty as Latinas. But why is that? What has been ingrained in us, instilled in us since we were young that we feel that gives that much importance? And it really was about navigating that. And people kept saying, well, what does Latinidad mean to you?
Right.
And the one thing that I found in all of the research we were doing and all the different people that I was talking to Latina beauty founders that are in Sephora. And the #1 thing I found was community. Community. When you even think of community, we always say, familia is the most important thing to Latinos. Technically, that's still your what? That's your community. Those are the people that you are doing life with. And there is something really special about finding out someone else is Latino, and I automatically feel like, oh my God, are you my long lost cousin? Hi, prima. Like, there is this automatic connection. I can look to this corner, and I know you guys are Latinas, and there are some similarities that we've grown up, and obviously there's always going to be our own stories and our own paths and our uniqueness in those stories, but there are similarities that connect us and create a community that supports one another, a community that, you know, encourages one another, a community that more than anything celebrates one another. It's a whole fiesta every day, all day. And so I'm just so proud of that. I'm proud of the impact we've had on the world. I'm proud of who we are as a people. I'm proud of just how beautiful and diverse our culture is. I love the fact that we celebrate in this docuseries specifically what Afro-Latinidad looks like and the different shades and colors of who our people are and the diversity in that. So for me, it is, I'm so proud of being Latina and having that community behind me.
As you should be. I mean, what a great history.
I love us.
Do you guys know that she loves us? All right, it's clear. If we don't know anything else today, all right, here we go.
I love us.
Your character in the Cheetah Girls, Chanel,
Yeah.
is a Puerto Rican.
Thank
Oh, I was wasting my time with the other questions. Okay. So that's why we're here. Okay, I understand now. All right, y'all could have told me that already, you know? I could throw these cards away.
It's a very cheetah-licious audience.
I see that. Okay. So let me just restart the question, just so you know. Your character in the Cheetah Girl, Chanel, is a Puerto Rican, African, Cuban, and of Dominican descent. How important was it for you to play a character that intersects with so many Latin backgrounds?
Crazy enough, at the time when I said yes to the offer of becoming Chanel, I had no idea the impact it was gonna have. I remember seeing the script and honestly changing some of it up because I was like, I wanted it to feel real. I know that one of the main things that I think impacted me growing up was one, not seeing representation on television of what I felt was authentically Latina. So I would always see things on TV and there'd be shows where they showed Latinas, but then I'd be like, I don't relate to that at all. There is some, like, it did not feel like it was a great representation of who we are. And I have to say, one of the main reasons for that is because we weren't writing those stories. We weren't writing those stories, we weren't producing those stories, so it was somebody else telling us how they view the stereotypical Latina and telling us to play those parts. And for me, just being completely transparent with you, I didn't want to be a corny Latina on TV. I wanted to be authentically who I am. I identify as an urban Latina. I grew up in New York City. There's slang. If you notice the part where me and Galleria are in the street, and I'm like, that's Prada, baby, Prada, nada, mama, nada. Like all those, the hand gestures, that wasn't Chanel, that was me. And I had to put a lot of who I am into that character. Maybe selfishly, I was like, I just want to be me in this character. And then seeing the response to that years later, you guys, that movie was made, I was 19 years old when I filmed the first Cheetah Girls. I am 40 years old. And to have even people like a Northwest and her crew of people dressing up as Cheetah Girls for Halloween, I'm like, y'all know I don't look like that anymore, right? Like when somebody calls you and they're like, talk to my daughter, this is Chanel from the Cheetah. I'm like, she gonna be like, who is this grown woman on the phone? I don't know who this is. But it's about the impact that it had, and it reminds me that representation matters. And there's nothing more fulfilling than when someone tells me, I loved your big curly hair in the Cheetah Girls. It made me embrace my curly hair in the Cheetah Girls. I love that you spoke Spanglish. That was not in the script. That was just me, you know, ad-libbing with Raven, who's an amazing actress, and she's so great at even adding her own touches to the scripts and being super funny in the moment. But that was so important to me. But I was being selfish at the time, and I'm grateful I was, because years later, the impact that it's had is so fulfilling. Nothing is more fulfilling than somebody being like, you were a huge part of my childhood.
All right, I mean, look, I mean, that's, you know, that's what they're excited
Thank
about.
you, guys. I'm grateful for Disney Plus keeping us alive, okay?
That's awesome.
Okay.
So how was that for you, like, you know, filming the Cheetah Girls? I know you didn't know what the impact would be, but
I actually was like, is this gonna be the worst thing I've ever done for my career? Like, is this a super cheesy movie that's gonna be like the end? And it ended up being the biggest thing. So honestly, I was shocked.
Wow.
When I saw, if you had the first Cheetah Girls album, if you look closely, the songs are not even full songs. They're like 1 minute and 12 seconds. Some of them are like 45 seconds, like literally a verse, a chorus, the end. And the reason for that is because it wasn't intended to be on an album. And I'm really grateful for an incredible woman, Deborah Martin Chase, who also is a woman of color, a black woman who is just amazing. If you Google her, you guys, she literally was the executive producer of Princess Diaries and Cheetah Girls and Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. She's absolutely incredible. And it was her idea. She came to Disney and was like, these little songs, put them on an album. I know they're not even full songs. And we ended up holding the #1 spot on soundtracks for like weeks and weeks at a time. And I will never forget, crazy enough, I could be totally wrong with these stats, but want to say it was a song called Summertime. What's the movie that Will Smith and Martin Lawrence did together? Bad Boys? Okay, Bad Boys was coming out at the same time as the first Cheetah Girls movie, and they had a soundtrack that had like everybody on it. Am I bugging that Beyonce had a song called Summertime? She did. On the Bad Boys soundtrack? They spent so much money on that soundtrack, and people in the music industry were pissed. They were like, we put so much into this, and we can't get the #1 spot on soundtracks because there's this little kiddie movie that has 1 minute songs. And it was the Cheetah Girls, and that was the first time I recognized the impact. They were like, do y'all want to become the actual group and take this on the road because you guys are selling millions of albums, and there's not even a full song, there's no promo, there's no music video, there's nothing. And I think that's when we really realized the impact of children. And that a mom could have $5 in her purse, and if she's gonna buy an album for herself or an album for her child, the reality is she most likely will buy for her child. And I'm really grateful for that because we have a whole generation of people who hopefully were impacted by those films and are proud to be who they are today, who celebrate their differences, their different spots. Different colors, you know? And that really was a special thing that I got to be a part of, and I'm just so proud of it.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about mentorship, role models. Who are your role models?
Crazy enough, one of my biggest role models growing up was Angie Martinez, who's known as the voice of New York on radio in New York City. And if you look closely in the first Cheetah Girls movie, she is hanging on my wall. I remember calling her and being like, can I get a poster? Because I need to put it up on the wall. It needs to be authentic. It's Selena, it's J-Lo, and it's you for me. And she sent me the posters, but I used to reach out to her because for me, being somebody that was in kind of the R&B space and urban music space with 3LW, she for me was a pioneer. She was the first Latina that I saw in that space, and that again was welcomed and was so authentic to the space. And I've loved her, and I think that those kind of relationships are so important. Until this day, to see what she's doing 20-something years from now and how she's been able to even elevate her brand, joining iHeartRadio, and from there now having her own podcast where she's having these groundbreaking conversations. Have you guys seen In Real Life? It's a podcast by Angie Martinez. She's done incredible conversations with Lauren London, Kim Kardashian, I mean, just so many people, and she's awesome. So she, to me, has been a huge mentor for me. And that was really important. I needed that. And I think when you're able to pick up the phone and say, hey, I have personal questions, but not just personal questions, but even business. How do I navigate these certain things? I got this offer. I don't know if this is the right offer. Should I ask for more money? What are the possibilities? Where can this go? She was always there for me, and I'm just really grateful for that. Everybody needs that.
Oh, that's awesome. So you're able to just call Angie Martinez years ago and say, hey, I need a poster. And she delivers.
Yeah.
And now we're all watching it on our screen.
Literally.
Look at what that phone call did.
It's wild, but I think, again, you have to be bold enough to make those phone calls. And my husband used to tell me, Adrienne, how much has embarrassment cost you? Because I went through a phase in my life where everything was embarrassing to me. Like calling people, reaching out to people, asking for a favor, inviting someone to come on my platform. I would be embarrassed to ask them to do anything. And he was like, do you know how much that's probably cost you? Like, actually, if you could put it into dollars, I said, probably millions. because I didn't have the courage to pick up the phone and be like, hey, I'm starting a something. I'd love for you to be a part of it.
Right.
Or, hey, I have this idea. Can I pick your brain about this? And then you look at, and I'm just going to be honest, I have white friends who were raised very differently with that example of watching their parents conduct business or be business people or be in leadership positions. And they absolutely used networking as a major tool. Like, that was a huge thing. But they had no problem picking up the phone and saying, I'm gonna call my colleague and see if he can pull a string for me here, a string or two for me here, or I'm gonna see if someone can get my daughter into a program that might be really beneficial for her. Versus, I grew up in a Latino household that was like, I don't ask. You don't want to bother them. You're going to come across as an opportunist. Ay, bendito. They're not going to want to. It was like a very different mindset.
Right.
And I had to recognize that speaking up for yourself or picking up the phone and asking for a favor or networking is not opportunistic. It's smart.
Yeah. It's called networking now.
Correct. It's called networking. And I always say, again, there's a difference between networking and giving a thirsty vibe versus giving a hungry vibe. I think people respect someone being hungry and passionate and hardworking than being thirsty. We all know what the difference is. And I think as long as you conduct yourself with integrity and you know what you're going for and what you're asking for, and that if ever they needed that favor right back, you'd look out for that person in the same way. If someone came on my podcast as a favor to me, I don't have a podcast, but if I went on theirs and the day that I had something or I had an opportunity or a launch for my clothing line, that I could say, hey, I did this, I'd love for you to come and support me, and that favor will be returned. And so using those things is so important, and mentorship is important that way. But again, if I didn't have the courage to pick up the phone and say, hey, I'd love to put your poster in this, that now she's looking back and being like, that was dope. She put my poster in that. Next time I have an opportunity, yo, Adrienne, there's this spot. They're looking for a young Latina to be a part of blase, blase. There's an opportunity to come speak at a college. I can't make it. Do you think you know what I mean? You have somebody that's looking out for you. So really consider what networking looks like. Really consider when you're tired and you're like, I don't want to do it, or I don't want to send the text message. I might come across annoying. Take the chance. Take the chance. Think about big head honchos that are the heads of huge corporations. Do you think they think that way? You got to think like a boss. Send that text message.
So always stay hungry.
Yes.
Never thirsty.
Never thirsty.
Think like a boss.
100%.
We got it. We got it. So you made history as the first Latina to host a daytime talk show, The Real.
Yeah.
How was that? Tell us about that journey and what that experience.
Let me tell you,
Tell us.
2013 was a wild year for me because it was bittersweet, if I'm being super transparent.
Please do.
I,
Oh, what y'all thought? Like, I could hit a little no.
a little no. When I tell you, Warner Brothers is the people that created the show, The Real, and we filmed it on the Warner Brothers lot. And I remember their PR team coming in and having the press release, which is what they send to everybody. It's literally a statement that says what the show is, who's gonna be a part of it, and like a little blurb, a paragraph about each girl. And my paragraph, I had to approve it, me and my team, my managers, my agents. And I remember seeing it and seeing in there that the PR person for Warner Brothers wrote that I was the first Latina ever to be in daytime television. And I was like, you are a whole lie. Take that out of there. You're not gonna have me looking crazy when people are like, girl, bye. You are not the first pioneer of anything. Sit down, relax yourself, have several seats. And I was like, you cannot write that. Like, that's definitely not true. It is 2013. There 100% has been other Latina daytime talk show hosts. I'm like, there's Cristina, there's Señorita Laura. There's so many. And they were like, yeah. On Telemundo, on Univision, on Spanish speaking. You are the first in English language. And while I was wildly honored, I was heartbroken. 2013, there had never been representation for Latinas in a daytime talk show space. I actually was arguing with I said, this literally cannot be. Please tell them to double, triple, and quadruple check this because I'm gonna look stupid saying this. And here we are 10 years later, we're saying it, and it is the truth. But we've also seen a huge change in the landscape from Rosie Perez then joining The View to Natalie Morales now being on The Talk and so forth and so on and so many others. But I couldn't believe that it took us that long. And so that was disappointing to me. And at the same time, I was like, wow, what an honor and a privilege to represent my people.
Kudos to you.
Thank you.
Change maker, trailblazer.
So crazy. Yeah, like, and I talk to my friends, I'm like, now that I think about it, like, that can't ever change. I will always be the first.
That's it. You in the history book
Like, I
now.
will always be, and I'm excited to share that with my son. And that hopefully in some way, in some area, and it doesn't have to be shiny in front of the lights, but you will be a first in your own spaces, doing your very own things. Again, it doesn't have to be something that's put out in a press release, but you could be the first to do something in your community, the first to do something in your family, the first to do something in your church, the first is in your school. So I think that's so important, to own that and honor that, and don't be afraid of that.
Wow.
Yeah, be intentional about that, if anything.
Yeah, that's awesome. Being intentional is incredibly important.
Set out to do something.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us here are just seeking education, What advice do you have to high school students and the college students here today who are, just really starting their lives and their educational journey?
Pressure, but no pressure. These are the years that are going to pave the foundation for who you become. Choose wisely. Make good decisions. Literally every single day you're gonna have the option to be whack or not. Straight up. Every day when you wake up and you are given opportunities, be like, yo, what am I going to look back and be like, I made the right decisions, I made the right choices, I showed up for class, I put in the hard work, and now I'm bearing the fruit of whatever that is. Whatever you are doing now, you are literally adding the ingredients to the recipe that will be whatever it ends up being. Like, it's the groundwork for what you're gonna end up doing. It's the groundwork for what colleges you get accepted into. It's the groundwork for, do you wanna go to college? Are you gonna waste money and not actually, take the time to really figure out what it is that you want to do and apply yourself in a way that's going to be successful? Is it going to be a waste of your time? Is it going to be a waste of your money, your parents' money, and possibly some terrible debt for you in the future? Or not? Or is it going to be the greatest choice you ever made? You're going to gather knowledge and make the most of it. You're going to walk into that room every single day and say, this is a privilege. There are people in other countries that will never get the chance to get the education that you can get at your fingertips. You have that opportunity now, and it's what you choose to do today. I promise you, make good decisions now. You will be so grateful for it in the future. You will be grateful that you spent the extra 2 hours putting into whatever that final science project, that whatever it is, you will appreciate it. Again, when I talked about in the beginning, the small things, let's say you got a group project, a class project, and you chose not to participate in it at all, and you find yourself 10 years later working at a corporate company and you don't work well with people. You can't figure it out. You don't know how to delegate work to other people, or you're trying to take over the whole thing and do the project by yourself and tell everybody to fall back. It will, I promise it to you, you'll be in therapy talking about, well, this one time I had a science project and I decided I didn't want to do it. Why are you that way? I had a science project and I decided to do all of it and I didn't let anybody help. Why are you that way? It sounds so dumb and small and trivial, but these are the small building blocks to who you become. I think Jay-Z said it, remind yourself, nobody built like you, you designed yourself. You are designing yourself today. Today is the day you are sitting there with a pen and paper, you figuring out what is the blueprint of who I am going to be, what does it look like, who you're hanging out with is going to influence what that becomes. What are you taking from those people that you're surrounding yourself with every single day? What little habits are you picking up from them? Let me tell you, it'll be the smallest things that you don't even realize. I started laughing like this, and I started seeing pictures of myself laughing with my nose completely scrunched up, and I hated the photos. I'll give you an example. I was like this. And I was like, ooh, what? Why am I doing that? I had a friend of mine. This is gonna sound wild. Never laughed like that in my life. I had a friend of mine who laughed with a scrunched face. I watched her laugh that way so long that suddenly my face started scrunching. It sounds, but it happens. It's wild. You will pick up on weird, small, unintentional things that you had no idea about. That girl messed up a lot of pictures for me. Pay attention to the small, dumb tiny things that you don't even realize you're picking up on. Look at your friends and be like, are they good influences on me? Are they bad influences on me? Are they, it sounds dumb, you don't realize the way our brains work is what we see, sometimes we become. And it's something as simple as a no. What was that, girl? Relax, chill out. You can laugh without scrunching your nose, but I saw it so much that I started doing it and didn't even notice it. So pay attention to those little things. Hand gestures, trust me, you will pick up all of it. Hang out with people that you want to be like. When you're designing yourself, look around and be like, man, I like that. I've even done that where I'm like intentional about it. My mom talks with her hands. My mom has the prettiest hands. I came out with my dad's sausage fingers. Don't look at them. But my mom is very this, and I think it's so dainty and so pretty. And so I've been intentional about, from being a little girl, I thought that was beautiful. So I started doing it, which I still love it. I just wish the hands looked a little different. But that's not the point. The point is, you can choose who you become. Granted, your circumstances are going to be different. Everyone's circumstances are going to, you may not have the same opportunities as others. What are you going to do about that? Write a new blueprint, write a new plan. But ultimately, you get to decide your future at this point. So man, high school is not easy. It's such an easy trap to fall into the okie doke. Be better. Be better. Be the best version of yourself starting from now. Yeah.
That was deep. Come on.
Like, it's so easy to be mediocre.
It is.
So easy.
We're not here to be mediocre.
No.
And we're also not here to fit in. You said that earlier. You wanted to fit in so bad, but like we don't know we're made to stand out.
100%. 100%. That's a word right there.
Okay. Amen. So on Jennifer Hudson's show, you mentioned something about tuna punch.
Oh, Lord.
Now,
You know.
I don't know.
She knows.
You know?
She's like, girl, bye. Okay. We should all talk about our hood snacks. Let's keep it real. We've all come up with some concoctions. When there isn't much in the house, you gotta, my after-school program was in my house. Watching Oprah possibly, but like just trying to make whatever I could. And crazy enough, it happened because I was making myself a tuna fish sandwich. I OD'd on the mayo, but I was just mixing it up there. And then I was pouring myself, this is not an ad, I was not paid by Tropicana. Tropicana had a bomb tropical fruit punch that I was obsessed with. And so I think we used to get 2 for the price of 1, Pathmark at the time, had all the specials and the coupons. And I was pouring myself fruit punch and it spilled into my tuna.
Wow.
Now, granted, we don't got money like that. I am not wasting this precious meal. And so I was like, is it salvageable? Can I salvage it? So I literally was like, let me just mix with the little splash that was put in there, mix it in, and I went to go taste it to see if it even was something I could still eat. Baby! It added a little special tang, and I was like, this is bomb. At the time, I was just eating it because of whatever. Then, like, let's say 3 days later, once again, I'm home making myself tuna, and I made it, the right way, and I go to bite into my tuna sandwich. And at the time, the bread we had was, do you guys know what Hawaiian rolls are? Or Hawaiian sweet bread? That was the only bread I had. And when I bit into it, I was like, it's missing something. It was that punch, baby!
Tropicana.
The punch. And so I intentionally started making tuna fish, mix it the same way, and then I would just be like, psh. And I would mix it and put it with the sweet Hawaiian bread. It was the sweet and salty that I never knew I needed. I talked about it on my YouTube channel, All Things Adrienne, which is now Love Always Adrienne. And it went viral. Literally, Ellen DeGeneres reached out to me, had me come on her show, and there was people tasting it. Some people were like, this is the nastiest thing I've ever tasted. And then there were others that were like, this is bomb. People are haters. I was one of those people.
I mean, that's why we invited you.
It's so good. If you're into sweet and salty, just trust me. It's like, have you ever put, if you have like shrimp and you put it into like a mango salsa, like a sweet and sour sauce with your shrimp or your chicken nuggets, it's the same concept. I promise you, it's so good.
Please ask your parents before you go try the concoction. Thank you. I know we're running up on time, but before we do, we wanted to give you a small gift. I want to invite Hope up. We have the Hope Initiative here at Bunker Hill. They wanted to present you with something really quickly.
Way.
Yeah.
What?
So Hope, you,
Complimented the sweater, so.
Listen, I love this.
she came in, she said, I love that sweater.
No,
so
it
Hope
is
and went and got the sweater ready.
Thank you, guys. Oh, this is so dope. Thank you, guys. This is super cool.
And we have a Latin, we have a Latin group on our campus, Los Unidos, and they wanted to give you something small.
Thank you. Guys, this is awesome.
You're awesome. You know, we're just happy. We're just sorry we don't have the tuna punch outside, but
You know, I would have had it catered, but
that's okay. We have some food outside. Are
wait,
you-
but don't front. Have you guys ever come up with a crazy combination and you're like, this is dope? Y'all don't be sticking your fries in your McFlurry, be honest. It's so good. So good. What else? What do you do?
So this is from Los Unidos right here.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you for coming.
Guys, this is beautiful. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. These are beautiful.
No, they got good taste.
Listen, I feel like a pageant queen up here.
Okay. You said be whatever you want to be, you know?
Listen.
You're creating the blueprint.
At 4'11", I started a fashion brand. Literally curvy shorts. It has never seemed like there's a space for me in the fashion world. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna create a space. I'm gonna create a line for girls that are petite, curvy, and everything else. We literally go from extra, extra small to 3X, and I'm just really proud of being able to do that. So
Wow.
you literally make a path for yourself. Make your own lane.
And we're proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. This is awesome.
All right. Well, we want to thank everybody for joining us today. We do have some refreshments outside. Feel free to take 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you want, and
Go
get
for
home
it.
safely. Those are going back to class. Thank you for taking the time out on your Friday. I'm so happy to see you all.
Thank you,
you.
guys.
Adrienne, you okay to get out? Okay.